Can you see what I have here?
Yes.
Okay, so we have the basic sentence structure in Tagalog. All right. So let's start. Okay, so here, Andy, I'm going to explain to you the basic sentence structure in Tagalog, and that's the verb-actor-object. Okay, have you heard of this before? The verb-actor-object.
I kind of have, but it probably didn't sink in.
Yeah, all right. So listen, Andy, you can ask me questions anytime. Okay, just interrupt me. All right.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
So
I'm good at that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start. Okay. So here we have a basic sentence structure.
Yeah.
Can you read it?
Oh yeah. Kumakain ako.
Yeah. Kumakain ako. I am eating. So here we have the verb, and we have the actor. Okay.
Right.
And here it says, I am eating. And this is really the most basic sentence structure that we have. Okay. Right. Here we also have another basic sentence structure. It says, could you read?
Yeah. Ako ay kumakain.
Ako ay kumakain. All right. And here we have the actor, ako. We have the auxiliary verb, and we have the main verb. Now, the problem with this structure, it looks similar as in English because we have the actor first. But the problem with this one is that this is not the way we talk, okay? But it's important for you to know this because this is how, the formal structure looks like. And you will see this on TV or you will see this in books. Okay?
So kumakain ako and I, so ako ay kumakain. They're the same thing. They mean they're both correct. But,
they're both correct.
But one is that normal people speaking Tagalog would normally say kumakain ako.
Yeah. So there's something wrong with my PowerPoint. So let me just stop it right here. But you can still see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay. So here we have ako ay kumakain. Like I said, this is still I am eating. Okay, but we have the actor first and we have the auxiliary verb and then the verb. It looks very similar and you can make sense of it. And, it connects directly to English. But like I said, this is the structure that you will see in books or on TV when you have those scripted dialogues. All right. But if not, this is what you will see. Okay. Kumakain ako. All right. So, and again, this is what we call the passive voice. And then meanwhile, we have here the verb first, okay?
Right.
Kumakain ako, and it's active. You have the action there, kumakain ako, and then you have the actor, okay? So here we have the verb and the actor. So this is what we need to know because your goal is to have a conversation with Tagalog speakers, right?
Right.
So here, like I said, this is our basic sentence structure. And this is the full sentence. You have a verb and then you have an actor. We don't have an object yet. Right. And when this is the case, we have to pick our verbs from these groups of verbs here. The group, the ma group, the mang group, and the ma group.
Yeah.
Okay. So an example of an verb is kumain. Kumain is the infinitive of to eat, the verb eat, to eat, kumain. Now, kumakain is the present tense. Okay?
Right.
So now that we have the verb, kumakain, now we have to know where to pick the actor. And same thing, here we don't have an object. So the rule is that we pick the actor from this group here, the subject pronoun group. Ako, ikaw, ka, siya, kami, tayo, sila. Do you know about these ones?
Yes, I do. I kind of, they're the ones that I can probably just about manage.
All right.
Ako, ikaw, ka, siya, and kami, and sila. It's the other ones which, when you get to the third person and things, I kind of struggle with.
All right. Okay, sounds good. So remember, so here we have the groups here, right? And nothing to worry about this one because you can access this on the internet. Just type verb Tagalog list and you have these lists here. What you need to remember is when you do not have an object, these are the verbs that you will use. So that's the rule. And when you have these verbs here, you need to use these pronouns here. All right? Good? Okay. So here, I'm working online, so there's something wrong with my PowerPoint. So anyway.
I can see it. I can see it fine.
So, all right. So here, okay. Now, Andy, let's say there is an object. Let's say rice. Okay, so we have rice. We need to ask if our object is a definite or an indefinite object. All right? So
yes.
Do we want to say some rice, rice, or the rice? Okay?
Right.
So some rice or rice, that translates as ng kanin.
Right.
The rice, ang kanin. And this is
the I think
Go
the
ahead.
internet. So I think the sound went down there. Could you just repeat? I think we're having problems with the internet.
Oh, okay. I can still hear you.
No, okay. Well, yeah. So I'm familiar with the nang and the ang. I just often and I think it's good that you explain that some is nang and the definite article is ang. I just sometimes have difficulty putting them into the right sentence structure.
All right. So, well, it's just like in English, right? When we say, I'm eating the rice, okay? The person I'm talking to would know what I'm talking about, right? So, the rice? The person I'm talking to would ask, the rice, what rice? The leftover rice? So that's the idea. So in Tagalog, it's the same. If I say that ang kanin, the other person would know what it is. Okay? So very important to ask this question. Okay? Is it definite or indefinite object? So now, any questions here?
No, so far.
All right. So next. So now let's just construct something with an indefinite object. So ng kanin. Okay?
Summarize.
Yeah. So in this case, we need to pick our verb from these groups here. So the same as if we didn't have an object. All right? So here, ng kanin, indefinite, our groups would come from here. Okay? So kumakain. And then, same thing, we have to pick our subject or our pronoun from the subject pronoun group. Okay? So this is how our sentence would look like. Could you read it? Kumakain ako ng kanin.
Yeah, kumakain ako ng kanin.
All right. And that's it. So kumakain ako ng kanin. So that's an indefinite object right there.
Right.
So next. Now, let's try the one with a definite object. So here we have a definite object, ang kanin. All right. So if this is the case, we have to pick our verb from these groups here. So in and e. So e, that's I, but we pronounce it as e. So here. So kinakain. All right. So same thing here. You can find these groups on the internet. We have a list of that. All right. So it's just like in English, right? So you have the regular verbs and the irregular verbs. Yeah. And actually, do you know some Spanish?
Yes, a little.
Yeah. Well, actually in French, we have the what we call the terminaison. So the word endings of the verb. So er, re, you know. So it's the same thing. They are grouped, and once you get a hang of it, it'd be easy. So, but anyway, right now we're just learning the rules, okay? So we have a definite object. That means we pick our verb from these groups here. All right.
So okay, so let me understand. So I mean, I understand about the and the mag groups a little. I'm not an expert, obviously. So now we're saying, so if we use ang, which defines the definite article, definite object, so we change from an to an in.
Yeah. So here I underlined the root word.
Root word, yeah.
The root verb, kain, and anything else is really an affix, right? So kinakain, and we can break it down. So but that would be for
sometimes can I explain
the next lesson.
Fides, is that when you get a kind of senior person like myself learning a new language like this, it's and it's someone who hasn't been to school for many decades.
Yeah.
Right? You forget the English. I mean, I don't mean you forget the English what to say, but you forget whether it's a pronoun, an object, or preposition.
Yeah.
So when I see things like it's a it's a pronoun or whatever, I almost have to look back in English to say what do they mean by that.
Yeah.
So I can then do that, and I think that's why younger people have an easier time learning a foreign language.
Yeah.
Someone myself.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at other things, but maybe not so much this. But hey, I'm a good learner. I'll learn fast. When you say it's so the because it's the object pronoun, and we have to choose from one of the verb groups in. Now, does it change because the original verb group was to an in, or can it go from a mag to an in?
It can. Yeah. So what we need to really know is the
root word.
The root word. Okay.
Yeah.
The root word. So here I'm going to explain what will happen to our definite object. Okay. So now that we know that we have to grab our verb here.
Yes.
The next thing to do is to know that we need to grab our pronouns from this group here, the object pronoun group. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we have kinakain ko ang kanin. Okay. Now listen carefully. Kinakain ko. Okay. That set there, kinakain ko. That's actually the predicate. Okay. That's the predicate of the sentence. That means it's incomplete. It's incomplete there. Kinakain ko. Okay. And this definite object, ang kanin, that actually becomes the subject of the sentence. Okay. So that's the something that we have to make sense of, because we can't connect it to English. All right. So kinakain ko ang kanin. Okay. So all of a sudden, our object becomes the subject. All right. Kinakain ko ang kanin.
That's as opposed to kumakain ako. Ako would be the subject.
That's right. That's right. Correct. That's why kumakain ako is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
All right. Because here, if you want the passive voice of this one here, it looks like this. Ang kanin ay kinakain ko. Ang kanin ay kinakain ko. All right.
Yeah, almost the rice.
The rice.
I am eating.
Yeah, is being eaten by me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why it's passive, right? So we don't. It's being eaten by me. Yeah. Yeah. So that's actually what it is. Kinakain ko.
So if you use the passive voice there, and you say, what would be the subject object there in the last sentence you just said?
So there's no the object becomes just the subject.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to mix. Yeah, and that's the reason why it has to be explained this way, where because it's hard to connect it to English because all of a sudden the definite object becomes the subject.
Yeah, and that's what people like myself
we
do.
will have this kind of differences, right? From
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So is that okay? Can you process that?
Yes, I can. You know,
All
and
right.
that's the difficulty with older people when they like you say, they want to go back to what they know, and what they know is the English way of sentence structures, and we try to force that into Tagalog.
Yeah. So here we actually have ang kanin ay kinakain ko. All right. So I is the auxiliary verb. Kinakain ko, being eaten by me. Ang kanin is the subject.
So I in that instance is like this. So the rice is being eaten by me.
Yeah. So, but we don't, even in English, we don't talk that way, right? So, unless, you really want to specify, the rice is being eaten by me. So in Tagalog, we don't talk that way. It's just that maybe in some scripted, dialogues or in the news when they want to emphasize that, okay, the rice, something like that. So that's the story behind this structure here. Okay, and this is really the challenge for new learners. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so to summarize, okay, so first we need to ask, do we have an object? And what did we say? Could you read?
Yeah, if you got no objects, then you can just simply say kumakain ako.
Yeah, and then with an object, we have to ask, is it definite?
Is it definite or is it indefinite?
All right. So here, so like you see, it's almost like a set, kumakain ako. So nang kanin, right? So indefinite object.
Summarize, yeah.
Yeah, kumakain ako ng kanin. Could you read that?
Yeah, kumakain ako ng kanin.
All right.
Kinakain ako ang
kinakain ko. Kinakain ko.
Sorry, right. Kinakain ko ang kanin.
All right, and that's it. So that's the logic. Okay.
Okay.
So there is something there is a syntax. That's the story. It's just that we need to process that. Okay.
Right.